Hey everyone, welcome back to the Coop with Meyer Hatchery, where we talk all things poultry in hopes of educating chicken keepers and inspiring future flock owners. I'm Megan, and today we have a very special guest that you might have heard of. She is a fifth generation chicken keeper, an author, a TV host, and so much more. I am excited to chat with the queen of the Coop, Lisa Steele. Lisa, welcome to the Coop.
Thank you for having me back. I'm excited.
Yes, it's so exciting. Okay, so here at Meyer Hatchery, we are spreading the love with waterfowl in February, and we are super excited to chat waterfowl with you. Now, tell me first a little bit about your flock, especially your wonderful waterfowl.
Yeah, we started back in 2009. I had, chickens as a kid. I was in 4-H, that whole deal. But as an adult, 2009, everyone was kind of getting into backyard chickens. We went to the feed store to get some baby chicks, which, I had them as a kid. I was familiar with them. My grandparents raised them. So I felt pretty comfortable getting them after 20, 30 plus years, whatever, of having chickens. But at the feed store there were also bins of ducklings, and so my husband said, let's get some of those too. And I was like, I don't know anything about ducks, but okay, they're super cute, so we'll just get some ducks too. So I pretty much just dove right into it with our first chicks in
Well,
years and years and years. Yeah. And I thought, well, how different can they be? I mean, they're about the same size. They're they're going to have feathers, so we'll just put them all in together. We'll raise them all. uh, Huge mistake, as you probably know. Within like a week, the ducks were twice as big as the chicks. The whole entire thing was just sopping wet all the time. It was horrible to separate them. So that was my first and last time of brooding ducklings and chicks
together.
together. They're so different. I mean, they couldn't be more different. So fast forward now, what, 15 years, I guess. I'm a huge advocate of ducks. I honestly, I like our ducks better. And if I had to do it over again, I think I would just go with the ducks. Um, I just find them easier, more hardy. They're great layers, more cold hardy, more heat tolerant, always in a better mood. I get so much flack when I say that because so many people love their chickens. But I
Yeah,
mean, if you think baby chicks are cute, like just take a look at a baby
get a
duckling.
duckling. Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
God. I
So
cannot even.
what breeds do you have of ducks?
So we started with, that, back at the feed store now, 15 years ago, we started with pekins, which are the big white Affleck ducks,
Uh-huh.
and then also Rowans, which are kind of like mallards, but they're like the domesticated mallard, let's say. And then
Okay.
also one mallard, Bob, who was the only duck who could fly. So Bob would fly onto the roof of our barn. Bob would fly circles around our pasture. I mean, Bob never flew away, but yeah, Bob was a full-on mallard. So we started with
Flyer.
those. Greg, yeah, he's a flyer. So, or she, Bob was a girl. Don't ask.
Oh, okay.
So,
You did have me confused there. Okay, Bob was a girl. Love
well,
it.
Bob Duck. I just thought it was a cute name for a duck, because they
It
bob
is
in the
cute.
water. Yeah. So, actually, Gregory,
Okay, okay, that's really cute.
yeah, you got it right.
Yeah,
A
I
little
did. I
later.
did. It took me a minute, but I got it.
Okay, so Gregory, who was one of the pekins that we got way back in 2009, we just lost him last winter.
Oh
Um,
man, that's
yeah, he was
crazy.
the
That was your
last of our
original.
pekins.
Oh,
Yeah, and he was part of our
yeah.
original. Great duck, super gentleman. I mean, he wore bow ties.
Oh,
He was lovely.
so
He
cute.
would wait and stand by the door when everyone was going in and wait until all the girls went in. And then he was
Oh,
just, I'm just going to cry because Gregory was wonderful.
okay,
Pekins are
we won't
great.
do that.
Yeah,
So,
moving on. Yeah,
okay,
so
so
pecans and
tell
ruins.
me, I love it. Now, all of out of those breeds and the breeds that you've had, what is your favorite waterfowl breed? If you could pick one.
Yes. So since then, I mean, we've had Saxonies, we've had silver Appleyards, we've had Magpie
Okay.
and Kona. Kiwi is our Cayuga who lays the black eggs.
Yes,
Runner
yes, yes.
ducks. I mean, I think I've had probably every breed. I've never had the khaki Campbells, but honestly, I love the little runner ducks. They are the ones that kind of stand upright,
Yes, stand
like
up.
little
Yes, yes.
bowling pins. So my husband said, after we started getting into the ducks, I started getting more breeds. He said, just don't get those weird ducks that walk like people, because I think that would freak me out. So,
That's your favorite.
so of course I got some ducks that walk like people, and we love them. I
Of
mean, they're
course.
always off on a mission. They're so active. They're so
Yeah.
curious. Um, so all duck breeds descended from the mallard. So I find them very similar in temperament, personality. I don't think they're as different as the chicken breeds. Chickens
Yeah.
have
Okay. Yeah.
very specific
Very distinct.
temperament for
Yeah.
each breed. They're very, very different. Ducks are all pretty much the same, and they get along so well. I mean, the ducks are always together. When I let them out to free range, the
They
ducks are
flock
always
more.
together. The chickens
Yeah.
scatter, or they have their little
Yeah.
cliques. Two chickens
Yeah.
here, 3 chickens here.
Here,
The ducks
there.
are always together. They're just so lovely and loving, and I just can't say enough about ducks. I mean, I love them to
it.
pieces.
I love ducks. How cool. Okay, so now what are your favorite benefits of raising waterfowl? So most of us are chicken people. So what are the benefits with waterfowl specifically?
So we live in Maine. It's cold. Ducks are a lot more cold hardy. They don't have wattles or combs to worry about. If I can break the ice on the water, they will hop into it and swim. I mean, they are just so much more cold hardy. They'll sit in the snow with their feet tucked up into their warm little bellies. I mean, they'll sit there all day. They have, access to the coop, access to straw or, dry ground. They will choose to sit in the snow. So that's one benefit. They're much more cold hardy. Yeah. Super. I mean, you see wild ducks on frozen ponds or half frozen ponds all the time.
Yeah.
They have this weird artery system that keeps their legs and feet from getting frostbite. So they're that cold hardy. They're also more heat tolerant. As chickens don't handle heat at all.
Yeah.
And even in Maine, we have kind of hot stretches, warm stretches. We get into the 90s. And the chickens will just be miserable, holding their wings out, panting, just want the day to end.
I'm actually in Texas, and it gets brutal for a very long time. And so that heat, that is rough on all of us. It's
so hard.
We really have to pay attention to that. So that's cool. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so now since we're talking your chickens and your waterfowls, so what is the biggest difference in your experience between the chickens and the waterfowl?
The biggest difference is the ducks are always in a good mood, and the chickens are always grouchy about something.
They always have that resting face. That's so funny.
They do. It's I feel like my chickens are always bored, disappointed with me. I think the biggest, to kind of flip that question, I think the biggest pushback about ducks, anytime I post about them, on social media, people say they're so messy. They tried them, it didn't work, and I think that's the biggest negative you hear about ducks. And the problem is that people get ducks and they expect them to live in their chicken environment, and you can't do that, because ducks, they love water. So if you're keeping your food in water, right? And it's not fair to the ducks, because they're getting a bad rap. Like, you could take chickens and put them into the duck environment. It's not going to work either. So food and water outside always. Like, never, ever, ever put water inside your, duck house or coop, whatever, outside. The kiddie pool that they use goes out in the yard. I fill it with a hose. You just have to be aware that if they can find water, they are going to turn it into a huge mud pit. Yeah.
Muddy mess.
Yeah. But ducks themselves are super clean. I mean, they're always preening. I think ducks are super clean animals.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense too. Okay, so now what differences or what changes have you made for the waterfowl and the chickens to live cohesively? So yes, they're separate, but is there anything that you need to do for them to be together? And just, do they argue? I mean, do they fight? Anything like that?
Yeah. So, after the brooding stage, our ducks and chickens do live together. They share the coop, they share the run. The ducks have the option to stay outside all night if they want to, which they most of the time do, which also cuts down on the mess. The only change I made was to their feed. I do add brewer's yeast to it because the ducks need more niacin. So there is duck feed, but unless you're going to separate them constantly, it's just easier to feed the chickens and ducks chicken feed add the brewer's yeast to it. I also give the
Okay.
ducks peas that has niacin in it, just to make sure that they're getting the niacin they
Okay.
need.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Okay. So now we have listeners all over the country, and I'm in Texas. You said you're in Maine. Now, today it is like 65 and sunny. What is your weather today?
Uh, 20 and windy.
20 and windy. Okay, so in Maine, now with that challenging weather, what is there any changes or modifications that you make for your waterfowl?
Not really. I use straw in my coop. I think straw,
Okay,
if you're in
okay.
a cold climate, it's super insulating. The ducks sleep on the floor. They don't need roosts.
Uh,
And since they are sleeping on the floor, I really like a nice, thick, soft,
okay.
warm bedding for them. And really, that's it. I just make sure they have plenty of straw to sleep on, then
Do
they're
you use the
fine.
deep litter method with your ducks as well?
I mean, since they're sharing the coop, kind of modified, I don't clean out the coop in the winter. I just kind of
Right.
flip everything and add new,
Okay.
but I always, try to make sure
Fresh.
that there's plenty of new straw on top for the ducks to sleep on.
Okay. Okay. All right. I like it. I like it. Okay. So tell us something surprising about waterfowl. Now, something that maybe other people might not know.
I think the number one question I get is, what do I do with the eggs? Um, and obviously we eat them,
That may
just
or may
like,
not be my next question. Yes.
I mean, people are just, first they say, do ducks
What are
lay
they
eggs?
for?
And they
Yeah.
do, they lay an egg about a day, once a day, like chickens. But then they ask, what do you do with them? And I mean, I kind of use them interchangeably. I grab one to scramble or make an omelet, or even
Mhm.
baking. They're great for baking. They have a lot more fat in them. So they're really, really great for baked desserts and stuff. But yeah, they're eggs just like eggs. I mean, you crack them open and they're just a little bigger.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. I like it. Okay. Um, so let's go back to feed. What is there any treats that you offer your waterfowl
Yeah, that's
specifically?
kind of where they differ. Chickens, as you know, will eat
Okay.
almost anything. I mean,
Anything.
and they love junk food. I mean, if you have like
Yeah,
extra
absolutely.
pancakes or a cheeseburger or whatever it
All the
is, I mean,
scraps.
that's all the
All of it.
scraps. Not that they should eat that
Yeah,
often, but they love it. Ducks,
absolutely.
like, are super healthy. They love leafy greens. They love broccoli. They love peas. They really, really love anything green floating
Blueberries.
in their water. Blueberries, watermelon. They love spaghetti, but pretty much if it's
Spaghetti.
green, they're gonna love it.
They want it.
And they're
Love it.
in some ways they're more picky than the chickens. They'll
Yeah.
rummage through whatever I throw down for the chickens, and they kind of pick and choose what they want to eat. But I do focus on the kale, the broccoli, the spinach, the cabbage, that kind of stuff they
Yeah.
love.
And you make it look so pretty too when you present it. That's all some of my favorite things is
But
to
of
watch your
course,
like your
they
hard
love their
treats and
soup.
stuff.
They do.
Yes, I love it.
They love their
Me
pea
too.
soup or spinach soup or whatever. Yeah.
That's funny. Well, cool. Okay, so we have a hatch along coming up soon. Do you have any waterfowl incubation or hatching tips for people that might be interested in hatching out ducks or geese?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have hatched duck eggs. I haven't done it in a few years, but I have hatched ducklings, and they take 28 days, as opposed to the 21 that the chicken eggs
Chicken.
take. And a tip that I actually learned from Brincy, who makes a wonderful
Yeah,
incubator that I use.
absolutely.
Yeah, so you got to think about a mother duck. She's sitting on her eggs. She's getting up. She's going into the pond. She's getting something to eat, something to drink. She comes back. She's wet. She sits on the eggs. So when I hatch duck eggs, I take the top off for 15, 20, 30 minutes a day and spritz the eggs with water, like from a squirt bottle.
Right.
I had a great hatch rate doing that, and that's something that they recommended. And I think that does really help because you're more mimicking nature. In fact,
Mother.
I have at times
Absolutely.
left the lid off the incubator for like two
Open.
hours, 3 hours, forgot about it, put it back
Yeah,
on.
absolutely.
Not going to hurt anything. They just might take an extra day or so to hatch. But I think that cooling the eggs and then
And
spritzing
bringing
them
the
with the
water
water,
in.
mhm,
Like a
yeah, makes a really
natural
big difference.
habitat. Absolutely. Yeah,
Hmm.
I like that. I like that. Okay, so I know that you have a lot of waterfowl experience. Now, what are some of your favorite tips for brooding the waterfowl? And
Yeah, the
have
duck.
you yes, yes. So have you done geese and ducks as well, right?
I've done geese goslings, but under the goose, under Claudette. So that was super
Okay,
easy
yes.
because they were just
Oh, that makes it so
the
much
goose
better.
have their separate house because they're so much bigger. Geese are not anything like ducks. I
Yeah.
figured when we got the geese, they would just be bigger ducks. Geese are nothing like ducks. They're more like cows. So the geese have their own
They're
house.
more like
Um, they graze all day. They eat grass. They really don't want to eat any feed. They're just very much like cows. So anyway, we had the goslings under Claudette. So she handled everything.
that is
She
beautiful.
turned the eggs. She had the nest. Yeah. So I have not
Absolutely.
done goslings in the house, but ducklings, in the rubber tote, if you start
Uh-huh.
them in there. But honestly, I found the best thing to do if you have a spare bathtub, like in a spare bathroom, we put them
Mhm.
in the bathtub, put down rubber shelf liner, put their feet in water by the drain end, and just let them have at it. It's just so much easier to clean. It contains their
Yeah,
water mass. They're not going up and over the side like chicks could. When the chicks
yeah.
get bigger,
Right,
ducklings are
fluttering.
not getting at it. Yeah. So once I started doing that, it just made it so much easier. And also getting them out on grass as soon as
Uh-huh.
possible, like in a little
Okay.
starter coop or a puppy playpen or something, because duck poop is kind of messy. It's wet. They drink so much
Yes.
water.
More water
Um,
is more, yep,
yeah. And you
absolutely.
have to
Yeah.
be filling their
Okay.
water constantly because they're hopping into it and, swimming in it and whatever. But yeah, the spare bathtub, if you have one,
I
that's
love
great.
that. I will definitely use that idea next time because it just seems like it's already meant for water. Why not put the ducks in there? I love it. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and this section might be my favorite questions. So you
Okay.
talked about you using the duck egg. So, what is one of your favorite recipes that you use with the duck eggs?
I mean, like pretty much everything. I love eggs, period. But,
And
if you're making a pound cake or angel
uh
food cake, especially because it's going to rise, souffles, if you've never had good luck with souffles, making them rise,
use the
try the
duck
duck
eggs.
egg. hmm
Ah,
But just really, they're
okay.
just so much richer. Once you have the duck eggs, we really only use the chicken eggs for egg wash. If you're going to be
Yeah,
doing, some kind of fillets or eggplant or something, and you have to stick the breadcrumbs on it, egg wash on a pie or something, because the duck eggs are just so much more flavorful, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. Well,
They're
I
just,
love your cookbook, and so, and I have the chickens right now, and I'm thinking, okay, I need ducks now because of the
mhm.
baking aspect of it. So that you really have me sold on that one. I love it. Okay, so do you have any upcoming projects that you would like to share with our listeners?
Well, as you know, or as you probably know, Meyer Hatchery is one of the underwriters for my TV show, Welcome to My
Yes,
Farm. Season 2 just started airing
so good.
on Create and on public television, all over the country, nationwide. And I
PBS,
think it's
yep.
also in, yeah, PBS. I think it's also in New Zealand. I know season 1 was in New Zealand and Australia
That's
also. So
awesome.
yeah,
Yes.
that's really exciting.
Well,
So we're
cool.
talking about season 3. We're just kind of in the beginning stages of talking about season 3 for that. I also do have a couple new products down the line that I'm working on, some more natural first aid products and some other nesting products. I'm just trying to kind of build out like a whole
Yeah,
line of pretty much everything I use with my chickens, bring it under my brand name. So I know that it's
absolutely.
natural and it works and all
Quality,
that stuff.
yes.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, so
love it.
that's pretty
Well,
much.
everything that I have used of yours has literally I've switched over because it's
Oh,
wonderful and
nice.
I love it.
Thank you.
I'm very excited. And the show, you are doing awesome. So it has been one of my favorites to watch as well. So I will say the ice cream episode might have been my absolute favorite. So I
Oh,
loved
I had
it.
someone email me and say, I loved watching you make the ice cream, but is it normal to put basil in ice cream? And I mean, I just love playing with herbs, like putting
Yes,
savory
yes.
herbs in sweet dishes or whatever. I just think that I have a basil lemon bar recipe also that's really great. But that basil, I think it was basil blackberry ice cream,
Yes, blackberry.
so, so good.
Well, I know I was sitting there watching y'all and I'm like, oh, I really need to make that. That looks delicious. Okay. So I want to thank you. It has been awesome to chat with you. Do you have anything that you want to ask us or add to it or?
No, I
Anything
would just
extra you want to
say
throw in?
definitely you should get ducks. I know that the Meyer Hatchery website has a lot of breed
We
information,
do.
but
Yes.
honestly, you cannot go wrong. I've never met a duck that I do not like. I love that the drakes, the boy ducks,
Uh-huh.
they don't quack. I mean, they make
Loud.
like a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
raspy kind of
Yeah.
thing,
They're not
but you don't
loud.
have the whole kind of rooster crowing issue. So if you live
Yeah.
in an area you have neighbors, ducks might work better for you. Plus, if
Um,
someone hears a duck quacking, I don't think they're going to think it's a neighbor. You could
yeah,
easily pass it off and be like, I've never heard ducks. I don't know. I don't have any ducks.
that makes
You
sense.
know, wild ducks fly by
Well,
all the time. So
yeah, absolutely. And I really have to say, I feel like you've made me think that ducks are joyous. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like they're just happier. And I don't know if it's the waddle or if it's the temperament, but they're just a more
absolutely,
joyful
ducks are
animal. Yeah.
happy creatures. They just
Yeah.
they make you laugh. They're so funny, and honestly, I really do enjoy raising them more than the chickens, which I know is like sacrilege, and I probably shouldn't say out loud, but
No, I love it. I love it. That's cool. That's neat. Well, Lisa, I appreciate it. It has been fabulous to chat with you. And with that, I want to thank you guys for listening to the Coop and be sure to subscribe. And if you would be so kind to drop a review for us, that'd be great. And if you didn't know it, we have a $5 off your next Meyer Hatchery purchase for $50 or over. Enter the coupon code the Coop at checkout. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and want to know if you have any ideas or topics you'd like for us to talk about here at the Coop. Just send us an email at thepodcast@meyerhatchery.com. Looking forward to hearing from you. And remember, life is always good because we have chickens and ducks and geese.